Hello guys, so in this one we're looking at executive saloon cars with less than 80,000 miles on the clock for under 15 grand. Some real bargains in here, so keep watching. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before we get started. Just want to say a massive thanks to Chris H for his very kind donation of coffee for me, essentially. So thanks very much, Chris, that's much appreciated. And also thanks to all the people that are liking my videos and subscribing. Yeah, if you like the content, please do subscribe. And also thanks to all the people that are using my Amazon link and clicking on the various things in the video description. Onto the content. Okay, so as I said at the start, we're looking at executive saloon cars under 15 grand. And I think it's an area that a lot of people are kind of shopping in. There are lots and lots of really high mileage cars out there in this sort of price bracket, especially sort of 3-year-old cars. So I've capped this at 80,000 miles on the clock, and I've tried to look for what I consider to be like good cars for the money, decent mileage, and yeah, ones you should consider. So yeah, here we go. We're looking at Auto Trader for all of these, by the way, just to make life easy for me, you know, help an old soldier out and all that. Right, so the first one's an E-Class, and it's 2015 model, and it's the 2-litre petrol. Now, most of these you're going to see the E220D. That 220 diesel is one of the most popular diesel engines going, but you do tend to find that they've got some miles on the clock quite often. There are a lot of them and they are popular and they tend to get a good price. I think this one benefits from being the petrol. I think there's a really good price on this one, and look, 33,000 miles on it. 15 grand for a 2015 E-Class. AMG line, it's the 7G Tronic. It's their automatic gearbox, which is a decent gearbox on these. And they're just lovely cars to drive. They're probably not the most fun, let's face it, down like a little country lane or something, but you can sit on the motorway in one of these things forever and get out the other end feeling like you haven't had a journey. And they're so quiet, so refined, just really great cars. 7.9 seconds to 60, so it doesn't hang about. 184 horsepower, perfectly decent. 170 quid a year on the tax. Combined MPG of 46.3. Okay, let's have a look at this one then. So it's a handsome beast. It looks good in black, this car, doesn't it? It looks like it could possibly benefit from a detail, certainly a clay bar and maybe a bit of machine polish to bring that paintwork up a little bit. And there you go with the interior. Ooh, that is a nice looking car. Those black wheels look great on it. Are they standard? They may have just been refinished. Maybe the standard wheels refinished. I'm not too sure, to be honest. But there you go. It's a lovely looking car inside and out, really, isn't it? No obvious signs of any damage or anything as far as I've been able to see on this one. So yeah, nice car. Nice car. They'd obviously took this picture before they blacked the wheels and clean the alloys properly, and it looks a hell of a lot better when they have been cleaned and the tyres have been blacked, doesn't it, like in this one. Okay, so it's ULEZ compliant as well, which is great, which all these cars are. They're all ULEZ compliant. So 15 grand, yeah, can't grumble with that one. Can't grumble with that at all. Next one, it's a C-Class. Alright, so this one is the 220 and it's got 77,000 miles on it, so it's the same price as that E-Class, same year as the E-Class, same spec level as the E-Class, but it's the 220 diesel and it's the C-Class rather than the E. And don't forget, when these were new, the C-Class was the cheaper of the two cars. Now they're the same price, but the small matter of 40,000 miles difference between them. So give that some thought when you're looking at these used cars. Same with the BMWs. Sometimes you can get 5 Series for the same money as a 3 Series, or 3 Series is kind of more expensive sometimes. So do think about it, because you might think, oh, it's a big car, blah, blah, blah. But big cars are nice. I do like these Cs. I think they're great looking cars. I much prefer the C-Class in saloon form. I think they lose a bit of their look in the estate version, certainly for this year. But, you know, your opinion may differ. So running costs on this one, 30 quid a year car tax and 64 claimed combined MPG. And performance wise, 0 to 60 in 7.4, again doesn't hang about, nice solid performance really. What's this one got? Part service history, we get too much more on that. Let's have a look. Last serviced July, 77,000 part service. Right, you want to get that absolutely checked, because that kind of mileage on it, this kind of car, you want service history. So how much of a part service history that is, you would have to find out. If all it's got is the first one and that one they've just done, I would walk away from it. Let's go back to this EClass a second. And what does this have in terms of service history? Car has good service history. All right, define good. So both of those Mercs, you need to dig into the service history a bit. Right, this one's a little bit left field. So it's a Kia Optima and it's a plug-in hybrid. Now, a lot of people wouldn't think about this for like an exec cruiser kind of thing, but there's no reason why you shouldn't really. It's a very, very nice car. And, you know, the Kia stuff tends to be fairly well screwed together nowadays, doesn't it? So let's have a look. Spec, performance, 0 to 60 9.1. Battery range, so pure battery range is 33 miles. But most people, I guess, if they do plug it in, which I hope you would if you get a plug-in hybrid, most people are just going to use it to improve the MPG rather than running it on pure electric too often, unless you're doing like really short trips to work every day, and you could just run it on electric the whole time, I guess. If you, as always with the plug-in hybrids, if you run it purely as a petrol car, it's not going to be very efficient because it's got all that weight of the battery and all the gubbins that goes with the electric motor side of things. If you're thinking, well, I'll just use it once or I'm never going to plug it in, I'll just put petrol in it, and you know, once in a blue moon I might plug it in, just don't get a plug-in hybrid. You really need to plug the thing in to get the benefit. Road tax 0, woo, and combined MPG of 176. I really hate these MPG figures on plug-in hybrids because it just means nothing. It's absolute flannel. But yeah, that's one to have a think about and dig into the Ultimas. I mean, they've got diesels in the range as well, and yeah, certainly a car to have a think about. Right, we had to have one of these, didn't we? It's an Audi A6. This one's the 2-litre diesel Ultra S line. Now, this is probably the most popular engine you're going to find in a used A6, is the 2-litre diesel, and they're brilliant engines, but in Audis, apart from the huge diesels, I really like the petrol engines. I think they make a great petrol engine. Running costs on this one, 30 quid a year, road tax, 64 MPG claimed, and performance-wise, 0 to 60 and 8.4 with 187 horsepower. I mean, you just cannot grumble with that. I've spoken so many times about my fondness for the A6 that I won't do it again because I may be accused of being a biased fanboy or something, which I'm not. I just think they're great cars. And if the next one they make is a terrible car, I will say it's a terrible car. But there we go. Yeah, A6 for, I mean, 15 grand's good money to pay for a car, isn't it? But something that's going to cost you 30 quid a year to tax is returning decent MPG. Gives you something to think about. Obviously, on my car leasing videos, the A6 is featured quite a lot because you can lease one at the moment, and for the last few months really, for around about 350 quid a month, and that gets you in a brand new A3. So do always consider the leasing option as well, and if that's for you. But if you want a car that you're going to basically own for a number of years and sort of drive into the ground, or you know, until you're going to drive the thing for 6, 7, 8 years and then move it on, then something like this, as long as you keep it well maintained and look after it, you know, it's possibly not a bad way to go. One thing to note on this one is it's a manual gearbox, and personally I would want an automatic in something like this. I think a big exec car, you want an automatic. Like those big Mercs and Audis, they suit an automatic gearbox, and I don't think they always suit a manual gearbox. So do think about that. The other thing on this one is there's no mention of service history. Now, most of these are going to be ex-company cars, so you would hope it would have lots of service history. So it may just be an omission from the ad. The ads goes on about some very general stuff, but there's very little specific to the car. So I think it could well be a mistake. If ever you're interested in a car that doesn't mention service history, don't assume it doesn't have it. You know, some car dealers don't list their cars particularly well, so just pick up the phone and find out the story. This one, I guess, is a little bit left field because it's only got a 1.4 petrol engine in it, and it's a big car for a 1.4 petrol engine. It's the 150 horsepower. It's that power plant that's been in tons of VW Audi Group stuff in the last kind of probably 10 years or more. It's only got 21,000 miles on it, which is great. It's a 2018 Passat, 2018, with 21,000 miles on it for 15 grand. So performance-wise, 0 to 60 in 8.4, which again is comparable to that A6 diesel. It's decent. 155 quid a year road tax and 55 claimed MPG. And, you know, the Passat is in many ways very similar to the A6 and shares quite a number of underpinnings with, I don't know, the A6 or the A4, but massive roomy car, probably not quite as nicely finished off as the Audis, but hugely practical, massively spacious, and again a nice refined drive. Other thing to point out on this one is, once again, there's absolutely no mention service history, and I just have to assume it will have it. That will definitely have been a company car, because as a company car driver, that's the one that's not going to punish you so much on company car tax if you were looking at a company car in those days. So I would bet my life on the fact that this is a former company car, and as such it's probably got the service history. It's the automatic as well, and the auto in these is really good. I like it. Right, 2015 Lexus IS, and it's the 300h. So this is the classic sort of Lexus hybrid setup. So you've got 2.5 litre petrol engine and then the electric motor that sits alongside, and it's mild hybrid, so there's no plugging it in, much like with the Prius and those kind of things. This one's done 52,000 miles, although it says 50 there, with one former keeper from new, which is really good. 0 to 60 in 8.4, again, 8.4 seems to be like the benchmark for these kind of things. And then 61 MPG and 10 quid a year road tax. Wow. Oh, it says 20 quid a year road tax here. It's had an AA inspection, blah, 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 3 months nationwide, a warranty, 12 months MOT, full Lexus service history. Brilliant. That's what you want to see, full Lexus service history. All booklets, manuals, carpets, mats, any inspection more than welcome. So this one looks like a very nice example, to be fair. I'm not going to play someone else's video. Let's get rid of that. I think the black on black on black looks absolutely awesome. I mean, that is a beautiful looking car, isn't it? Now, interior wise, they're very, very good, with the exception of that bad boy, which is the infotainment system. It just could be better. It's not amazing. This one's got a little track wheel thing instead of the mouse trackpad, which like a laptop trackpad, which the more modern, most of the more modern Lexuses have. Lexi, Alan Partridge. And the only other thing is the boot's not huge because you've got batteries under it, but it's still a reasonable size. Certainly for most drivers of this type of car, that boot's going to be perfectly adequate. So I think they're gorgeous looking cars. And yeah, they sort of make sense on the running costs and stuff as well, don't they? 15 grand, 2015 model. So I like that one. Right, 2016 Jaguar XF. This one's not too far from me, actually. Just up the road from here. HPI clear, MOT until May next year, service at 22, 40 and 65. You just want to check that's when it should have been done. It's probably about right. although maybe a diesel should have had 1 or 2 more oil services than that. You'd have to check that out. Up to 62.8 mpg, 30 quid road tax, blah blah blah. So 7.5 seconds 0 to 60, 30 quid a year road tax, 51 mpg combined. Now, the problem with the Jaguar Land Rover is you really have to know about the common faults, and you have to understand the costs involved when something does go wrong. My experience, albeit sort of third-hand knowledge, is that repairs can be extremely pricey and reliability is not always amazing. So do your research and get the things properly checked. I mean, as far as the look of one of these things goes and the driving experience, they're absolutely brilliant cars. But, you know, don't be wowed by that and completely overlook the fact that they do go wrong and they are expensive when they go wrong. This one's the manual gearbox, so you haven't got the little cylindrical gear selector thing that rises out of the centre console for you to change gear with. So that's one less thing to go wrong, which is always good. And by all accounts, I think the manual's quite decent in them as well. So there we go, nice looking car. Appears to be quite a decent example. 64,500 miles on it. 2016 model, 12,990 quid. I mean, that is not a bad price, is it? Not at all. None of these cars I'm looking at today, by the way, are Cat S or Cat N or Cat C or Cat D, whatever you want to call it. This one's passed with advisory, which is there's outstanding finance. Right, so with outstanding finance, if that ever comes up, you have to make sure that gets cleared, and you need proof that it's cleared, and you need an HPI check to show that it's cleared before you buy the car. It's very important, because otherwise the finance company that are owed money on that car could just come and reclaim it from you. Even though you've paid it and it's someone else that owns the money, in theory they own the asset, alright? So you have to make sure that's cleared before you buy. And this is one that you get on all sorts of cars now, it's got a plate change recorded. And it will be because someone's had a private plate on it. Simple as that. Right, on to the next. Hello guys, just a quick reminder to give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks. It's the Volvo, it's the S60. I was looking at the S90s as well, the newer S90s, but to get anything under the 15 grand with sensible mileage on, you're looking at Cat S or Cat N, and I didn't want to go down that route in this particular video. So, but this one is just great, I think. 25,000 miles. 2017 model, and it's the T4 R design nav, so it's a nicely spec'd one. The R design is like the S line in the Audis or the M Sport in the BMW, so it's the sportier variant or sportier looking variant, and it's T4 petrol, which is a pretty decent unit to be fair. 155 quid a year tax, combined MPG of 48.7. And then you're looking at 7.2 seconds to 60, 187 horsepower. It's not too shabby. 2 owners on this one. Where is the service history? Can't see any mention of service history on this one. So again, you need to check that out. Luckily the car's only 4 years old, so it's not like you're buying an old car with lots of miles on it, but just having the service history helps you to verify that that mileage is genuine, doesn't it? Very, very nice. No obvious signs of damage, although obviously there's a tow bar on it, which always puts me off because it means it's towed something. And I don't particularly like cars that have towed things, but there you go. And also, you'd sort of expect that more in the diesel, which is going to be a bit torquier. But yeah, I've had a look at this one earlier, and it looks very, very nice. I would just want to ask the question about the service history, because it is a very low mileage, and you really want some kind of history to back that up and verify it. There we go. But yeah, really nicely put together car, and it looks like it's quite a nice example, certainly on the face of things. But 15 grand for like a 4-year-old Volvo, it's very good. Okay, the Audi A4. So I love the 2 litre petrol in this car. I had one for 3 years. I did 60,000 miles in it or something, and I adored it. I also had the automatic gearbox. So what I've done here is found the diesel manual instead, just because the diesel manual is you can get some really good deals on them, because people want, well, I think the diesel's probably more popular than the petrol in all fairness, but they're not probably as rare as the petrol to find. And most people, I think, nowadays want an auto in something like this. So probably it's just, if the car dealer had 4 of these in stock, 3 of them were auto and this one's manual, maybe the autos go first. 40,000 miles on the clock. It's got 2 stamps in the service history, but then it is a diesel. I think it should have more than that. So I know the petrol only needed to service every 20,000 miles or 2 years, but the diesels I think need one about every 12,000, something like that. Just, you have your proper service, then you have an oil and filter, then you have proper service. So that's probably down on its servicing. Having said that, if the mileage kind of checks out and it's a very good price, you could just get a real major service done on it as soon as you get it. As always, you know, check it all out properly. Check out my recommendations in that used car buying guide video that I did, and make sure you follow those, and don't be embarrassed to follow them. Don't be embarrassed to say to the car dealer, I want to bring a mechanic in to have a look at this car. There's no shame in it at all. It's a lot of money to be spending, and if they're in any way funny about it, just walk away, go somewhere else. 0 to 60 7.4 seconds, and running costs 155 quid a year. Road tax 68.9 mpg is claimed. Right, finally, my pick of the bunch actually. Right, so this is a BMW 5 Series, and it's the 530d M Sport, and this is a Steptronic automatic. The BMW automatic gearbox is brilliant, albeit the weird joystick controllery thing I think is pants. So it's the 3 litre diesel, is ULEZ compliant, as all these cars are. 170 quid a year road tax, combines at 51.4 mpg, 5.8 seconds to 60, 258 horsepower, nearly 400 foot-pound of torque. And it is a beauty. It's a nice looking car, that one, folks, isn't it? Huge boot in them, you know, absolutely fantastic. Usually easily get a couple of big suitcases in there. Tons of legroom in the back. Lovely driving position. Just great cars. You know, I do like a 5 Series for sure. I don't think they're as refined and quiet on the road as something like an E-Class or an A6, but the driving experience is better if you're someone that likes to drive, if you know what I'm saying. So if you want to get from A to B and arrive as comfortably as possible and in a calm, serene state, then the E-Class and the A6 tick those boxes, like, and then some. If you want to veer off down a couple of little back roads and have a bit of fun, then you want the 5 Series, and it's as simple as that. In my opinion, of course. But yeah, that all looks good. Now let's have a read. That's it. This is one of those listings that doesn't tell you anything. So you're going to have to ring them and find out about service history and everything else. But I hate car listings where, look, that's the one bit of info they've given us, automatic. Thanks for that. I hate car listings where they just tell you about something general about that model of car, and then what a fantastic business they are, what a fantastic garage car dealership they are. You know, tell me things that are specific to this car. I'm not buying a 5 Series, I'm potentially buying this 5 Series. So tell me about its service history, tell me about its spec. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. As always, please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. And please follow the links in the video description. So you've got my Amazon link on there. There's one to BOTB for the sort of weekly car raffles. So you can go on there and buy a couple of tickets and they'll throw me a few shekels. And you've got my website on there as well, which has got a support me page. And you can also go on and just buy me a coffee, which is massively appreciated. And you know, at the moment the channel's not monetized. It does all help, so please go on, throw me a coffee. Thanks again to Chris H up in Scotland that went and did that, and he bought me several coffees. And I really, if I was wearing a hat, Chris, I would take it off to you, good sir, so thank you very much. And I'm filming this video at the start of August 2021. This week I'm going up to the British Motor Show in Farnborough. Quite a few videos coming from that, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, hope you enjoy. Thanks a lot, guys.